Hey there, awesome folks. I am here tonight. I'm running a little bit behind, but I wanted to come and talk to you guys tonight about this particular issue. There are a lot of you that are now getting interviews for jobs, and whether you're a trad wife or not, we're going to focus more on what will you do if you find yourself or you're sensing that this particular employer may may not be the employer for you, because just like how they're interviewing you, you're interviewing them as well. So we're going to get into it, but of course let me give you a little bit of time to get in here. Drop a like, say hello as you are coming into the live. All right, guys, stay tuned. All right, folks, let's go back. Hey there, awesome folks. Hello. For those of you that are in the live tonight, go ahead and say hello. We like to speak over here on this channel. And of course, as you are coming in, go ahead and drop a like, share, and subscribe if you know anyone that can benefit from this information tonight. At the end of the day, I want you guys to be prepared, because sometimes from the website that you've researched or from what you have seen, it may not scream toxic employer initially, but you want to be prepared just in case you discover that. Maybe in the middle of your interview, maybe right after your interview, or maybe as you're reviewing it in your head, you may realize that this may not be the place for me. So, let's jump right into it. I wanted to touch on a few points here, but let's make sure we have all of what we need. Let's see here. I want to make sure that we're sharing the right information so I can put you guys in the right direction. And of course, there's always going to be other, you know, I'm always going to offer other solutions that you guys may not be privy to. And I want to make sure you have what you need to be successful. Whether you decide to, whether you figure out if the employer that you're dealing with is actually toxic or not. All right, let's jump into this. Okay. All right, so this article, I wanted to, at least use this as a reference point. It says 6 signs of a toxic job you can spot during an interview. And I want you guys to pay attention to some of these signs, and we're going to discuss a few more. The article was written by the publication Organically Human. It was written by Jade Small about a week ago. It's not a long read, so we're going to get into it pretty quickly. Landing a new job is an exciting milestone, but it's crucial to pay attention to warning signs during the interview process. A toxic workplace can take a serious toll on your health and well-being. Fortunately, there are red flags you can recognize early on to avoid stepping into a job that's more of a nightmare than an opportunity. We don't want that. Here's what to watch out for when evaluating a potential employer. Okay. An interviewer speaks poorly about others. Watch what they're saying, guys. How people speak about others says a lot about the work culture. If the interviewers badmouth the person who previously held the position or current employees, it's a major red flag. Employment experts suggest that negativity towards former or existing team members often indicates a toxic work environment. This can be a signal of a culture of backstabbing and gossiping that could make your work life miserable. Always pay attention to how the interviewer discusses colleagues and past employees. It might be a preview for what they'll talk about you. That's number 1. You're discouraged from speaking with team members. Really? Wow. In a healthy workplace, managers are open to candidates connecting with their future team to understand the work dynamic. If the hiring manager hesitates to let you speak to anyone else on the team, it could indicate a lack of trust or an attempt to control the narrative. Well, that's happened before. I gotta give you guys a story about my experience when it came to a toxic employer. Experts note that this kind of behavior is often seen in workplaces with unhealthy power dynamics, micromanagement, and rigid policies. If you're not allowed to ask the team honest questions about their experiences, it may be a sign that they're hiding something. Isn't that interesting? 3, there's a denial of company flaws. Nothing says gaslighting yourself like denial. No workplace is perfect, and every organization has areas where it could improve. Touche. However, if the interviewers act as though everything is flawless, that in and of itself, folks, is a red flag. All right. Let's see here. Let me take a pause for a moment. Ooh, Still Rock says, I have been in this situation. Yes, sir. Absolutely. And we're going to swap some stories in a minute. It says, no workplace is perfect, and every organization has areas where it could improve. However, if the interviewers act as though everything is flawless, is a red flag. Of course, we know that. A workplace unwilling to acknowledge shortcomings often fosters a culture where mistakes are hidden, blame is passed around, and the employees feel unsafe being honest. A healthy work environment or a healthy work culture encourages transparency and growth, not perfection, at the expense of employees' morale. Success is described in cutthroat terms. Be very cognizant. Be very Pay very close attention to the verbiage they use. Pay attention to how interviewers define success. If they emphasize intense competition, rigid goals, or monetary rewards without mentioning collaboration, it may be it may point to a toxic work culture. Experts warn that when bonuses and individual achievements are prioritized over teamwork, it can encourage unethical behavior and create a hostile work environment. Oh boy. If the workplace seems to pit employees against one another for advancement, it's likely not a supportive place to grow your career. Hmm. Another thing that could be an indicator, recruiters are evasive about contracts and policies. The interview process is the right time to ask about employment agreements, including any non compete clauses. We've talked about that before on this channel, or other restrictive policies. If the hiring manager avoids answering these questions or refuses to provide copies of agreements before you start, red flag, red flag. Such reluctance could mean they're hiding unreasonable expectations or legal constraints that could limit your career options in the future. Be very careful of the agreements you sign. Please read them. That's basics. Experts recommend doing a thorough online search for lawsuits or company complaints about the company to uncover potential red flags. This is also part of your research even before you go on an interview. Those are steps that I go over in my interview coaching as well, by the way. Another thing, the atmosphere feels tense and unwelcoming. Please do not second guess your gut feeling when you walk into an interview. And if the looks you're getting is ice cold, or it feels matter of fact, or you can cut the tension with a knife, it may not be the place for you. Okay? The atmosphere feels tense and unwelcoming. Lord have mercy. So let's continue. All righty, just checking in to make sure you guys coming in and saying hello and speaking to each other, and then we'll be back. And then I'll be back to give you my crazy horror story. Sometimes the overall vibe of the workplace speaks volumes. Observe the moods and interactions of the employees when you visit. Are staff members friendly or engaged, or do they seem withdrawn and stressed? Signs like avoiding eye contact, hurried movements, or outright hostility could indicate a toxic work environment. If they're showing you hostility and you're there for a visit, run in the other direction. If they're starting off like that, pay attention to the energy in the office. It can reveal much about the culture you've just stepped into. Another indication: trust your instincts and protect your well-being. While it can be disappointing to realize a promising opportunity might not be the right fit, it's far better to walk away than to get trapped in a toxic job. Trust your instincts. I just said that. And listen to the subtle signals during the interview process. By recognizing these red flags, you can avoid unnecessary stress and find a workplace that truly supports your professional growth and happiness. This content has in part been generated with the aid of an artificial intelligence language model. While we strive for accuracy and quality, please note that the information provided may not be entirely error free or up to date. No, this is pretty much on the spot. We recommend independently verifying content and consulting with professionals for specific advice or information. We do not assume any responsibility or liability for the use or interpretation of this content. Listen, at the end of the day, week, month, and or year, that is actually not off base. As a matter of fact, a lot of what was said in that article is true. And I have a few more to share with you before I get into my stories. Hold on a second. As you guys are coming in, drop a like. As you're coming in, say hello. Let me know, have you experienced this before? Okay, I want you to understand something, guys. I want to drop this in here for you. No, don't question, don't ask. No, you always have a choice. Just like how they're interviewing you, you're interviewing them too. Not every interview needs to result in you accepting an offer. That's the whole point. I'm checking you out, you're checking me out. Okay? Understand that if it doesn't match, if you go in that place and the energy is off, that alone could mean like, this ain't the place I want to come to 4, 5, 3 days a week, depending on what type of work schedule you negotiate when you decide to take advantage of this opportunity, right? No, you always have a choice when you're interviewing. I will tell you this. There are a couple of jobs in my career that there are small indications. I'm going to say this, and you guys may not even. I went into an organization, and I'm not going to say the name to protect the innocent and the guilty. Let's be clear. That had a literal rear end drawn in stick figures with a line underneath it. And I was like, that kind of looks like a rear end with a line underneath it. Is that what that is? When I walked into the interview and I saw that on the wall. So when I went behind closed doors and sat down with the person that was interviewing, the person said, yes, that's exactly what you think that is. Because that sign or that symbol was placed on the wall for our salespeople to keep in mind that their literal rear end is on the line. If that's not a red flag, I don't know what is. And I did not, at the time, I was in a position where I knew that was slightly toxic, but I was like, I need a job, so I'm just gonna roll with it. Yeah. Wow. It's the word. Because I spent the next year literally, not figuratively, literally dealing with narrow minded, biased people that that is a literal representation of the situation our country is in at the moment. I'll just put it that way. Um, the supervisor, the leaders, the managers in that place pretty much said training is a privilege. And you know who was a privilege for? Because other employees that were got training without requesting it. That was another huge red flag. Mind you, while I was there, I was interviewing for other positions because I knew I wanted to get the HE double hockey sticks out of Dodge. They managed to, because I was asking too many questions once I was there, because these people had no real tangible structure in place to train their employees properly. Well, not well, the training they did have, they they reserved it for the privileged people. Let's put it like that. Yeah, they were that bold with their nonsense. And somebody say and um they were clear, or they were bold enough to say these things in a meeting with people who are going to deny it if I ever decided to file um, EEOC charges against them, because I actually had grounds. But I said, you know what? I made a decision because I ended up getting terminated from that place. And it was probably one of the best decisions I had, the best things that ever happened to me. Because there were times that um, a sweetheart of a friend to this day, we don't get to talk as much, but I really do appreciate her in my life, especially at that time, because she not only taught me off the ledge with in that particular place, she literally had to pull me aside one time because, yes, as calm, as composed, and as emotionally intelligent as I am, um, I almost threw hands in that place. That's how egregious some of these people are. So because the people that are pushing, well, that was pushing that narrative, you know, had the complexion for the protection, so to speak. So when they got out of line, there was no penalization for them. But I digress. There are employers that are that they have the audacity. They have the gumption to truly be that ignorant. If they're willing to post that thing on the wall, there are a lot of other things that took place that I literally just put my headphones on to ignore and just did my work for what I was trained for. God forbid, I made a dollar out of 15 cents working there. What is your proper training? What is this? And they got tired of asking me questions, so they decided to train the entire team because I pestered them for them to do their job. If you have to be pestering leaders to do their job, you are in the wrong place. You are in the wrong place. That's why I urge you guys always keep your career tools, keep your resume and your cover letters updated on a very regular basis. When I tell you I went home and I applied to jobs everywhere, thankfully, once we parted ways, yes, they terminated me, claiming that my performance wasn't up to par. How is my performance going to be up to par when you tell me training is a privilege that you do not want to give to me? How are you going to set me up for failure and then turn around and say it's my fault? Some employers that that exist don't even deserve the garbage. The garbage and the stinky, funky garbage is too good for some of it. Let's be clear. So one of the other things, so that's a little piece of some of my story. So some of the things that you hear me say to you, I don't just make them up. Oh yes, honey, they are too much. But I'm very grateful to report half of the any of the employees that were worth their sauce has since left that organization. It's not doing too good. But I digress. They think they can throw nonsense at people forever and don't realize there's an expiration date on your foolishness. Hmm. Number two, along with all of the other signs that the article provided, um, let's see here. I want to make sure that you have that. Char Willie, hello, hello, hello. Let me officially greet the folks that are in here with me tonight. Still Rocks and Char Willie and anyone else that is watching but has not said hello yet. I don't bite, I promise. I'm real friendly. Say hello, guys. Um, Understand how to professionally turn down opportunities you have applied for when the employer's toxicity becomes apparent. Things like, let's say you go to the interview, and what I should have did when I went to that interview and saw that stupid wooden plaque on the wall, I should have given them this. While I appreciate the opportunity to interview with you today, I do see that my career goals and your company's goals do not align. I don't think this is going to be a good fit, and moved on to the next opportunity. That's what I should have did. And that's kind of the wording that you should give them whenever you spot the toxicity. That stupid emblem on the wall, that was yeah, that was toxic overload right there. And the sad part about it is they really did live by that. And they referred to a set of people as you people. That should give you some indication of how toxic that place is. Yeah, you people. Ugh, Lord. They're real professional. As professional as a dirt on my shoes. Child, please. Very professional. In your mind, you could. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can say what I want in my mind. But there are some. Listen to me. There were times, as I said, I'm grateful for that wonderful friend of mine that was there, because there's plenty of lunchtimes that I spent that whole entire lunchtime cussing the ever living daylights out of them folk outside the walls. Of course, we had to go off campus for some of them lunches because, honey, I was spitting fire to not kill nobody in that place. Whoo, my goodness. Let's just say at that time I started up my gym regiment just to relieve stress from being in that place. If you have listen to me, if the reason you are being driven to go to the gym is to relieve stress because where you work is that toxic, please fine. It shouldn't have taken me as long as it did to find a job, but thankfully, about a week after I got terminated, I got another job. Thankfully, because I had already been looking. So sometimes everything happens in its divine right time. Trust me. Now, another point of contention you want to make sure that you are developing, right? Because when you're interviewing with a lot of these employers, it's not always about what they want. You, as a career professional, right, have to understand, have to know, right, that you are going to develop your own ideal employer profile, and understand the work environment that before you actually commit to working with any employer. You can do so by doing background research. There's places you can go. You can check the EEOC to make sure they don't have any open cases. And if they have closed cases and you can read the notes from the closed cases, that'll give you a good indication of how they treat their past employees. You're also going to want to check Reddit to see if anybody has said anything about this particular company. You also want to check, oh gosh, what is, let me see here. Glassdoor. Ah, yes. You want to check Glassdoor. But some of those can be bought. Some of those can be fabricated. So they don't always have the truth, so to speak. But still, look in those three places, double check. And these are all, you can check the EEOC.gov. You can also check um, some of the other places, the government websites, to make sure that this company that you're possibly going to be working for, if you're considering their offer, if their offer is any good. And of course, those are things that I work with you on. If you decide, if you decide to, I need some help before I go into this interview, I got to have my game face on. I coach you not only for the interview, but I also coach you to negotiate the proper salary. You can go to mentorshelley.com/interview cons to do so. But you want to make sure that your ideal employer is something that you formulate. You want to have the work environment. You want to have the work environment that you're in. You want to make sure that that's something you design on your own. There's never going to be a perfect employer. Let's be clear. But there's some criteria that you have to set for yourself. Maybe like 5 different things. You want to work in a collaborative environment where leadership is very open, very honest. They provide regular feedback, things of that nature. So you want to understand the type of employer you're going to. Go ahead and look at their profile on LinkedIn as well and see who is currently working there. See if you can inbox them and get their assessment on what their experience is like. You may be able to see how long they've worked with the organization. That's also a way for you to, or call and behave like you're a customer and see how they deal with their customers as well. Just like how when you're getting hired for a job, they go through the rigmarole and put you through background screenings and drug screenings and your references. You got to check them out too as an employer. Listen, it's your career. You have to direct. You have to be the one, you have to be the one to direct where your career goes. Nobody else is going to do that for you. So just like how they're interviewing you, you're interviewing them too. Of course, Glassdoor is now plastic paid reviews. Oh, phooey. Once upon a time, you could get the truth. So that's why I say check Reddit as well. You might be surprised what you can find on Reddit. You also want to, you can see if you can spot check their LinkedIn profiles as well. You have company pages, but you can also inbox a few people that are working there, or maybe working in the department that you're interviewing to enter in. That may give you some key insight. Just dropping a couple nuggets here. I want you guys to be prepared or have what you need, so when you're going in that interview, you're not going in blindsided. Because that plaque, I still remember it to this day, because it was so, the best word I can describe that is pervasive. Okay? Now, last but certainly not least, yes, do your research, please, before you go. Some of the things I just mentioned is one of the other ways, but there are other key steps that I describe or that I go through with you as a systematic process before you even go into the interview. I coach you through what it is you need to do during that interview to discover, to find out, to discover, to interview the employer as well. Because please don't go in an interview and not ask questions. Come on now. We're career focused individuals that watch this channel, right? Y'all know y'all have to have questions for the employer, right? These are things that I go over in my coaching with you. And after the interview, what are some of the key steps you need to take if you are truly interested in that opportunity? Or if you're no longer interested, then I, give you just a couple of phrases there where if you get a phone call back, or you can follow up with a particular document to state, I appreciate the time that you spent speaking with me. However, this is not an opportunity that aligns with my career goals. It's real simple. So you can say no. You ain't got to be mad about it. You can be nice about it. You can be professional about it. All right, guys. So of course, if you guys have any other questions, concerns, I shared a little bit of that horror story. Maybe one of these days when maybe I'll share a little bit more of that story as time progresses. I really did have grounds to sue their butts, but why waste time on garbage? The garbage will take itself out eventually. Yes, Char Willie, absolutely. You research, you try to find people because of course, when you go on LinkedIn, it'll show you who's working where and who are any of those people in your current network. So that's a great place to start. But you also want to find the truth, not the curated Glassdoor comments that say everything is wonderful. They lying. Not everything is wonderful. Not everybody's going to love everything about a company or everything about a situation. So let's be clear, not everything is wonderful. But I do take you through the process when you are getting ready to go on an interview. Do your research. It is so imperative to be prepared because you never know what kind of environment you're walking into. You can do all the research you want, but until you go in that building and if you get that heebie jeebies when you walk in there, that ain't the place for you. And there's some of the other indicators that was covered in that article, as well as other key indicators that I'll coach you through when you schedule your session with me. Of course, guys, if you have additional questions, you can always go to mentorshelley.com/contact, where you can leave me a voicemail or an email message. I am more than happy to return the voicemail or email within 24 hours, guys. I am still on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And if you find yourself in this particular situation as far as interviewing in a place and they're quite icky, then of course you can definitely schedule some time with me so we can go through what it is that you should be expecting, what you should be doing before, during, and after the interview. And if the interview goes well, then you get a decent offer. Then I will also coach you through that salary negotiation process as well. I really do appreciate Miss Char Willie for joining us tonight, and Mr. Still Rocks, and anyone else that has joined us but has not made a comment or has not said hello. It's okay. I promise I don't bite. We are friendly and wonderfully helpful on this channel. So there's no need to shy away. You can say hello. In other words, I want to make sure you are a better professional, whether you're walking into some of these places and their vibe is just icky. That ain't the place for you. Not every employer fits into your career trajectory. So make sure you understand how to decipher the difference. All right, guys, this is Mentor Shelley. Over and out. Y'all have a good night.